the early days in world history, Egypt was a flourishing nation, and the pharaohs of Egypt were held to be as important as gods by the Egyptians. Now, 2,700 years ago, Isaiah prophesied about Egypt, and especially about River Nile. In those early times, the River Nile was the longest, it still is the longest river in Africa, from Uganda to Egypt, and carrying a lot of water. The Nile was the lifeline of Egypt. There were tall papyrus plants growing in the Nile. It was teeming with animal life, and it was the lifeline of Egypt. But 2,700 years ago, Isaiah says like this in Isaiah chapter 19 and verses 5, 6 and 7. He says like this. He says, the waters from the sea will dry up, and the river will be parched and dry. The canals will emit a stench, and the streams of Egypt will thin out and dry up. The reeds and rushes will all rot away. The bulrushes by the Nile, by the edge of the Nile, and all the fields sown by the Nile will become dry, be driven away, and be no more. At the time Isaiah wrote 2,700 years ago, the Nile was prospering, filled with water. But the Spirit of the Lord spoke through Isaiah, and that prophecy has come true today. Today we find that the Nile is drying up, and 90% of Egypt depends upon the water of the Nile. So it is drying up. The papyrus is no more. The agriculture is not flourishing, and there is stench, there's a stink in the Nile because of the chemicals in it. And when you go to Egypt, you can't drink water from the tap. You have to buy bottled water. This was unimaginable 2,000 years ago when Isaiah wrote his prophecy. So Egypt is going to become a poor nation, and they say that by 2025, all the Nile will be dried up. That is what the future of the Nile is. So humans, when they boast of the natural resources, when they boast of their own power, when they boast that they are conquerors and leaders, see, God makes his path and his will to be known to the prophets. Because God says, in the book of Amos, he says that God does nothing without revealing it to his servants, the prophets. So he revealed to Isaiah 2,700 years ago what will happen to the river Nile, how the pride of the nation is going to be brought down, and soon Egypt will be struck by poverty because of its dependence upon river Nile. It will be struck by poverty, and who knows, it may become a desert region. This is how God deals with the proud nation of Egypt, who ruled over the Israelites. The pharaohs ruled over the Israelites, and they made pyramids which people go to see today. But the future of Egypt is very bleak, and it was prophesied 2,700 years ago by Isaiah.